born and raised on a farm like a lot of Kiwi kids, and always just loved it here and wanted to be here. But the thought of getting up at Sparrowfart in the morning was just a bit too much. And I did try it for a year full time, but the attraction of the city and being this close to it was a bit too strong. So I went away and I did work in the city for a few years, and then the folks were talking about what their next step was, and the old shed was getting too old, and they were saying, well, it might be a case we sell up. And I said, oh, well, don't really want you guys doing that. And they said, well, the other thing was we were thinking about robots. And I went, ooh, robots, tell me more. So I kind of jumped on board when they said that's what they were thinking about. And yeah, it's been full steam ahead since then. Moved back, and it's been about 6 years now. And yeah, we're going great guns. But what attracted me to the robots was the, well, I guess at the very early stage was the hours. The hours, I thought, you're not spending what would have been 4 or 5 hours a day in the cow shed, and that was a big attraction. And the reality is, you probably spend the same amount of time working. It's just doing different things. You're out in the paddock and getting your residuals right, and it might have been something that the guys were neglecting a bit before in the rotary. So now we put a lot of emphasis on our heifer training. We use a maize grain that we feed the cows, and it's because we're organic and system 2. We don't feed them a lot. All we give them is just a candy bar in the machine. So we train the heifers with that, and the really is quite a breeze now. Like you might think could be a bit treacherous, and at the start it was, and there were probably still a few scars from the early days, but we've just had 20 odd heifers calving this spring, and not one kicked at all. And that comes down to a lot of the training we do with them, and it just makes for such a stress-free environment, both for the farmers and the cows. Yeah, well, I probably didn't have too many fears stepping into this venture. I was a lot of excitement. The excitement, yeah, quickly turned to sleepless nights and tearing the hair out a little bit. But that was only during the training period. Once the cows were trained, yeah, it was really quite an enjoyable experience. Since we started, our pasture management has improved quite a lot. It's been a little bit hard to gauge because we've also decreased the herd size as well too, so production has come down a little bit, but we did notice in that first year an increase of about 10 or 15%, I think it was. Yeah, so the animals are a lot less stressed than what they would be in a conventional system. There's no one chasing them up the raceway, and they're not crowded in the yard either. The incidence of lameness drops right away. Yeah, our farm's pretty special because it was the original Yates seed farm in New Zealand, and I'm 6th generation here on the farm. So there's a really big will to want to stay here. I've got a 2-year-old son now, so I want him to have the similar sort of lifestyle if he chooses to have it. So yeah, being organic as well too, the payout is a lot better, so there's more options for us to stay here. So there's a service program with the robots, and they get 3 services a year, and we've also got a technician who's quite handy to us, and he's always on the phone if we have an emergency call out. He's never far away. Having done it for as long as I have though, a lot of the issues we do have we can fix ourselves. The system itself will notify you for certain problems. via text message or voicemail, however you've got it set up. I would think if you're looking at putting in a new shed or getting into it, then you have to consider robots. It's, you know, everyone in Denmark, I think if a new shed goes in there now, it is robots. No one does herringbones or rotaries, and that's how it's done in other parts of the world, because they've realised just how many benefits you can get from a system like this. Being a young person, as he folds his comb over, it's really enjoyable. Like you've got all this information, and you could spend all day and night looking at this different information on your animal's health and trafficking and the robot's productivity and KPIs out the wazoo, all these things. Or you could look at none of it if you want. You pick and choose what you want to do. But for someone like myself, you know, having all of that information is really quite neat. And you're working with animals, and you're working with this big freaking hydraulic arm that's like this, and there's lasers and cameras. I think that's pretty cool. I like it. If you're trying to get your kids back on the farm, do it. It works, yeah.